Hey everyone, my name is Sweet, and in today's episode, I am going to be running you down on whether you should play a Shadow Priest in Shadowlands. First, a little bit of a background. Shadow has always felt like somewhat of an afterthought spec. It's never really been too complicated, and it still isn't, but somehow it has more depth than ever. Let's take it back a little bit. The Burning Crusade is where Shadow really started to form its identity. With the introduction of Vampiric Touch, Shadow started to feel like it was actually a spec. Before Vampiric Touch, all we had was Shadow Word Pain and Devouring Plague if you were an undead, so it didn't really have too much, so this was a really awesome change. Over the years, Shadow developed further and further, and by Wrath of the Lich King, we had a pretty clean, playable spec that felt fun and did great damage. As the expansions furthered, we reached Legion and the waters started getting really murky. We started to lose spells and they introduced Voidform. Voidform, for those who don't know, was a spell that ramped up over time. You needed to complete your rotation, generate Insanity, and as a result, you would get to keep Voidform for longer, which gave you a haste buff. From a PvE perspective, this wasn't too bad. In a raiding environment, this seems perfectly fine. Fights go quite long, you can generate quite a few void forms. But in PvP, this really sucked. Put simply, building Insanity while you were being the target or while you were being stun locked in Arena was super tough. Copying one stun or one silence would cause void form to fall off, and then getting back to it again was very tough. Void form was the reason that I stopped playing my main of 13 years and quit for 2 expansions. With the Shadowlands pre-patch, Void Form has changed. Void Form is now a damage cooldown that integrates with our mastery and also has its own talents that integrate with it. This allows for so much more freedom in the way that it's used, and it actually feels really fun. So what does Shadow Priest look like in Shadowlands? Well, coming into Shadowlands, we were buffed. When I say buffed, I mean we were buffed a lot. Like, a lot. The spec was insane. Everyone was re-rolling Shadow Priest. It was crazy. What I don't think the people that have Flavor of the Month re-rolled understand is that the reason Shadow Priest is so OP right now, or was OP, was because of the Auspicious Spirits talent. It was doing probably about 50% of our damage, and it is insane. It has since been nerfed, but when Shadowlands is released, we will no longer have Azerite traits, which essentially will cut 30% of our damage just like that. With the Shadowlands pre-patch release, we were unpruned, we were given back a ton of our utility, we were given more damage, we were given a void form rework. It was really positive, and I loved these changes. And then the nerfs came in, which is a really good thing. Coming into the pre-patch, Shadow had received the most attention I have ever seen on any spec in the entire 15 years that I've played WoW. It got huge damage buffs, fun reworks, and the class was actually awesome by the end of it. But in all honesty, when this happened, Shadow was so overpowered. Everyone who was playing it was like, yeah, this is gonna get nerfed. Like, bro, this shit's crazy. And it had to happen. And it's better that it happens now, because if it happens before Shadowlands release, it means we're probably gonna be safe for the first couple months. What you don't want to do is go straight into Shadowlands, be super overpowered, and then get nerfed 2 weeks in after you've already wasted the first 2 weeks grinding out a character. So I think we're safe for now. Let's start with PvP. Shadow right now has really good damage, really good utilities, really good defensives. It has a life grip, it has master spell, it has crazy heals. Shadow by far has the biggest toolkit out of any class in the game, and it's amazing. It's so much fun, and it's just really fluid to play. With the Voidform change, Damnation, and Unfurling Darkness, you no longer feel like getting stunned is the end of the world. The damage is great. When you queue LFG, people want to play with you. It's fun in BGs. All over, I think Shadow Priest right now is probably the best it's ever been in PvP. So for the PvP side of things, I absolutely 11 out of 10 recommend it for being one of the best classes right now. If you look at the PvE metas right now, Shadow Priests are dominating. The Auspicious Spirits talent is still super strong. We're just pumping out massive damage, and it's a lot of fun right now. However, once we head into Shadowlands and lose our Azerite traits and our Heart of Azeroth neck, this will drop off a lot. So this is the point where you need to decide whether you want to be super competitive or whether you want to have a bit of fun. And when I say that sentence, I realize that it probably makes it sound like I'm saying Shadow Priests are bad. Shadow Priests aren't bad, they're probably middle of the pack. However, if you're trying to join a super serious guild, are they going to take top of the line, or are they going to take Shadow Priests who are in the middle? Besides Vampiric Embrace, we don't really bring any strong cooldowns to a raid. Keep in mind though, most raids will take a Shadow Priest. Top 10 guilds may have one, and they're going to be exceptional. But unfortunately, we're not looking to be top of the DPS meters. And that is okay, because the top always gets nerfed. Unless you're a Warlock, obviously, because every dev plays a Warlock. Everyone knows that. Moving on to Mythic Plus, we have been given the talent Searing Nightmare. Basically what Searing Nightmare will do is give everything near your target Shadow Word Pain. This makes it a very, very strong choice considering the new AoE cap. Keeping in mind, Shadow is still going to be fairly weak at low level keys. Shadow has always excelled at higher level keys because the more dot uptime we can get, the more damage we do. So with all that in mind, how do I rate Shadow Priests? Well, for PvP, I'm going to give Shadow Priests a solid 8 out of 10. We really have no downside besides our lack of mobility, and unfortunately the class that we should play with which is a Warlock, our CC's DR with. But apart from that, very, very strong. For rating, I'm going to give Shadow Priests a 6.5 out of 10, just because there are better choices out there for pure damage. However, our utility is not something to look past, and I do believe there is potential when haste numbers start to scale up. And for Mythic Plus, for any key under 10, I'm going to give Shadow Priests a 6.5, and for anything over 10, I'm probably going to give them about a 7. So what are my final thoughts? Well, if you're playing Shadow Priest for the right reason, which is you love Shadow Priest, then keep playing it. It's going to be really, really good. If you're playing it for the wrong reasons, like it's flavor of the month right now, then probably reroll to something that does a little bit more damage. Now, I'm not judging you for playing flavor of the month. Wanting to play the best class that does the most damage is not a bad thing. It just means you want to excel and it means you want to win. It's a game, it's fine. But Shadow Priest is not the class to play if you want to be number 1 on the meters. So guys, that's all I've got for today. If you have any questions, please drop them below. Please drop me a like, a sub, and hit the notification bell if you want notifications when I upload. Any questions, guys, hit me up. Cheers.